So you're here. You look really beautiful. Dad. You're quite early. The wedding dress suits you so well. My daughter, in her beautiful wedding dress, couldn't help but smile. She looked so beautiful, reminiscent of a swan, so enchanting. However, the response to me was unexpected. Why are you here? Go away. Didn't we prepare chairs and tables outside for you? Huh? Murgy. What are you talking about? I invited you even though you're not my mother, so you should be grateful. Well, you can't come inside the venue, though. Both my husband and I were taken aback by her words, said with a smirk. There were chairs and a table at the reception area, seemingly prepared for me, but this was just unacceptable. It's true that there's no blood relation between me and my daughter, and the fact remains that I'm my husband's remarried partner. But I've been trying my best for her in my own way, and I couldn't help feeling angry that I was being treated like this. Wait a minute, why would you do that? Did I do something wrong? Seriously, just being able to come to the wedding even though you're not my mother is more than enough, right? What more are you expecting? There are so many people attending this time, like friends and colleagues. It would be embarrassing to have you here. Why would you say something like that? It's okay. If you're going to say that, then I'll leave. You don't want me at the wedding, right? If you're going to leave, that's fine by me. The moment I said that, my daughter seemed smug and pleased. Earlier, I was genuinely moved by how beautiful she looked, but now she just seemed like a hateful woman. If she wants me to leave, I'll gladly go. I have no intention of forcing myself to attend when I'm not wanted. However, my daughter seems to be unaware of one crucial thing. By treating me like this, she's tightening the noose around her own neck. My name is Heather, and I currently work as a consultant. After graduating from university, I worked in marketing, where I achieved great results and was eventually headhunted by a major company. After changing jobs, I was entrusted with significant responsibilities and enjoyed fulfilling days. I was able to achieve results in my work, received high praise from those around me, and gained confidence in my abilities. While I was technically a freelancer, I received enough marketing consulting work to live a comfortable, independent life. It was during this time that I met my current husband. Nice to meet you. I look forward to working with you. Our meeting began with me consulting on marketing for the company where my husband worked. To be honest, my first impression of him wasn't that great. He wouldn't make eye contact, and whenever I tried to continue a conversation, he would quickly end it. I wondered if he was just bad at communication, but since it was for work, there was no time to dwell on it. Since becoming a freelancer, I've worked with various people, and I've been careful about communication for the sake of future relationships, so I didn't think my husband was capable in his job. Here, please take this. My parents run a farm, and they sent peaches. Really? Thank you very much. No, it's... Around a month after we started working together, he began to approach me more often. Maybe he was just shy or not good with women, but I was happy to see him making an effort. In working together, what mattered most was how well we could communicate. As a consultant, I understood this well, and I was genuinely happy to see signs that we could continue to build a good working relationship. About a year into our work together, one day, we had a conversation. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. The contract for consulting won't be renewed after this year. It's been decided as part of a policy for improvement. I'm really grateful for all you've done, but due to budget constraints, we can't continue the contract. I see. Well, that can't be helped. But since the contract isn't completely finished yet, let's do our best until the end. While it was disappointing that the contract was ending, I decided to give my all as long as I was entrusted with the work. Even though the contract was ending, I wouldn't slack off, and I continued to work hard as before. As a result, even after the contract ended, we occasionally went out for meals, and I enjoyed such a relationship. I never thought we'd become so close. At first, you wouldn't even look at me in the eye. I'm really happy about how close we've become. Actually, I have a history of divorce. I have a child, but my ex-wife took off with the money, and I became distrustful of women. It's embarrassing to talk about, but I understand it has nothing to do with work, but I can't seem to get over it. I didn't know he had such a past, and I was really surprised, but I was glad that he opened up to me. I see. But I trusted you, Heather, and I enjoy having meals with you. I'm so grateful. Consulting work is about helping people. I took pride in my work, and I was happy that there were people who thought they were saved by me. Similarly, I was happy to have been there for him to overcome his trauma from divorce. We went out to dinner several times after that, and about 6 months after the contract ended, he confessed to me that he wanted me to go out with him. At that time, I was more focused on my career than romance, but I felt that he would brighten up my life. I could feel that during our work together, and I accepted his proposal without hesitation. Then I started dating him, and before I knew it, a year had passed. He proposed to me, and we decided to get married. He has a daughter who will be 5 years old this year, but that didn't matter to me at all. I didn't think about wanting children after marriage, but if he had a child, I felt that I wanted to raise her just like a real mother would. However, do you want to go shopping together? Then how about going out for cake? I don't really care. By the time you're 5, you have a clear will of your own, so I think it's understandable if you can't accept me at first. But even after 6 months, a year passed, my daughter hasn't accepted me as a motherly figure, but rather as a member of the family. She ignores me when I talk to her, blatantly avoids me. Of course, I didn't want to force anything, and I didn't want to add unnecessary stress during this sensitive time. So, I hoped to build a good relationship with my daughter over time, but even after several years, our relationship remained unchanged. In no time, my daughter became a high school student, and lately, she often doesn't come home until late due to her part-time job. And on days when my husband is away on business, there are times when she doesn't come home at all. Hello. Are you okay? I'm okay, but did something happen? Murgy hasn't come home since yesterday. She's probably just out with friends, but she hasn't contacted us at all. I'm sure she hates me, and I knew she wouldn't respond to any of my messages. But if she doesn't come home without any contact at all, I'll worry too. It's natural for a parent to think that something might have happened where she went to hang out. It's about time she understood that, being a high school student and all. Even though I've been trying to reach out, I'm clueless, so I reluctantly consulted my husband. You can't get in touch with her at all? Well, she hardly ever replies to any messages, so it's pretty much the same as usual, but I'm a little worried. I don't know if something happened or if she's just hanging out. I see. Sorry for making you worry. I'll try contacting her. I'll let you know once I find out where Murgy is and what she's doing. With that, my husband hung up after my call. I didn't want to burden my husband, who was busy on his business trip, unnecessarily, but I couldn't just leave my daughter alone like this. All I wanted was a simple message. I thought as I waited for my husband's call. And then, 5 minutes later. Hello? Yeah, she answered right away when I called earlier. She's staying over at a friend's house. I gave her a good scolding for not contacting us properly. I'm really sorry about this. I see. Well, that's a relief. I'm not asking her to report every single detail of what she's doing and where she is. I just want a simple message. Otherwise, I worry too. That's exactly it. Sorry for the trouble. He didn't have to apologize since it wasn't his fault, but I felt disappointed in my daughter. She's a high school student, so she should understand basic common sense. I don't mind her hanging out as long as she doesn't inconvenience others. She can do as she pleases, and I don't intend to impose unnecessary restrictions just because she's not a child anymore. However, not only inconveniencing others but also not apologizing for it like this time, honestly, what's up with that? The next day, I had a serious talk with my daughter when she returned home. I don't care that you're not a child anymore, and I'm not going to meddle in your affairs. You can do whatever you want, but I need at least basic communication from you. I don't know if we need dinner or if something happened to you, and it worries me. Why are you acting like a mother when you're not one? It's creepy. If Dad said it, I might understand, but you have no right to tell me. Don't pry into other people's business. It's gross to have someone who's not family monitor your actions. It's like being a stalker. I was completely speechless at my daughter's words. Was I saying something wrong? I was so shocked that I even reconsidered my thoughts. I never dreamed she would think of me like this. Certainly, she might hate me, but we've lived together for over 10 years. I don't want to sound self-righteous, but I've done so much for her. I've covered all her school fees, tutoring costs, and club expenses. As a mother, it's only natural to do so, and I'm not asking for gratitude, but what have I been doing all this time? I couldn't help but sigh. There's no need to call me a stalker. I'm not living alone, so can't you think about others a bit more? You're in high school now, so you should have some common sense. So, can you stop lecturing me over and over again? It's just painful to be lectured by someone who's not my mother. Don't get too ahead of yourself. She said that and went back to her room. She's in high school, so maybe she doesn't know how to interact with parents, but can I just leave her alone like this? I started to wonder. But then, when I glanced down, I saw my wedding ring and remembered when I married my husband. My husband was betrayed by his ex-wife and became distrustful of women. Even in that situation, he trusted me and entrusted me with our precious daughter because he believed I could handle it. With that in mind, and despite the lack of blood relation between me and my daughter, I realized I was irreplaceable to my husband. So, I couldn't just give up so easily. No matter how much she hates me, I will fulfill my duty as a mother. It's not just for my daughter or myself, but also for my husband. Family bonds are not easily broken. That's what I believed, so I didn't give up on my daughter. Then, in the blink of an eye, she graduated from high school and college, and she got a job too. A new chapter began with my husband and her living together, and we were enjoying peaceful days when one day I heard that Murgy is getting married. I didn't know she had a boyfriend, but I guess she's at that age. Really? That's great news. As a father, I have many concerns, but I want Murgy to be happy. I'm happy. I know I've caused you a lot of trouble with Murgy, but will you celebrate with me? Of course. Even though we're not biologically related, I really consider myself her mother. I said that, and he smiled broadly. There have been many times when I felt like giving up on her. But I'm really glad I pushed through. Like this, as she builds her own family and maybe has children of her own, she'll understand what I've been through. I believed that eventually, despite the time it took, there would come a time when my daughter and I could understand each other. Then, I went to see a kimono for the wedding, and until the day of the ceremony, I had busy days. And on the day, we arrived a bit early and there was a small plastic chair and table tucked away at the reception. Why are these here? I wondered, but after finishing at the reception, we entered the venue. Oh! There you are! You look absolutely stunning. Dad! You're early. The wedding dress looks really good on you. My daughter was in a beautiful wedding dress, and I couldn't help but smile. She looked so beautiful, like a swan, it was mesmerizing. But the response I got was unexpected. Why are you here? Leave. Didn't we set up a chair and table outside for you? Murgy. What are you saying? I invited you even though you're not my mother, so you should be grateful. Well, you can't come into the venue, though. She said with a smirk, and both my husband and I were taken aback. The chair and table at the reception seemed to be for me, but this was unacceptable. I was furious. Wait a minute. Why would you do something like this? Did I do something wrong? I mean, isn't just being able to attend the wedding enough, even though you're not my mother? What more do you want? There are so many people attending this time, friends, coworkers, it's embarrassing enough as it is. Why would you say that? It's okay. If you're going to say that, then I'll leave. You don't want me at the wedding, right? If you're going to leave, that would be great. My daughter grinned happily. Earlier, I was truly impressed by how beautiful she was, but now she just seemed hateful. If she wants me to leave, I'll happily leave. I have no intention of attending against her wishes. It seems like I'm the only one who doesn't want you to attend, so I'll leave first. Well, in that case, I'll leave too. I'm not going to attend if you're not either.
Wait a minute. Why would you leave, Dad? We need you here.
Cut it out. Your attitude. I've been bothered by it for years. Who do you think you are? You better watch yourself. My husband said in a low voice, glaring at our daughter. I never expected my husband to take my side in this state, so I was quite surprised. Certainly, what my daughter was saying was absurd, and she was completely in the wrong, but today is her wedding day. If both of us were to leave, it would be a mess. I thought, but my husband wasn't speaking emotionally at all. But, it's the truth, isn't it? Why should I be blamed? I haven't done anything wrong, have I? Are you serious about this? She's not my mother, so why should I do all this? Sure, we've been living together for years, but that's it, right? I don't need her at my glamorous wedding, and I don't even want her here. I don't want to hear any more insults directed at me. I really felt that way deep down. However, my husband didn't back down at all, as if to say he didn't intend to forgive our daughter. What about all the help she's given you all this time? Do you feel nothing about that? She was just playing the mother role for her own satisfaction, right? I didn't ask her to do anything. I don't think I should be expected to be grateful for something she did on her own. Fine, then just keep feeling that way for the rest of your life. With that, my husband took my hand and started walking out of the venue. Our daughter may have her side of the story, but it's just too unreasonable. Certainly, I've never been called a mother before, but that's not the issue here. Well, I finally understand now. I'll never be able to understand my daughter for the rest of my life, and it's pointless to have any further involvement. If my husband wants to reconcile with our daughter and move forward as parent and child, I won't complain anymore, but I'm done. Well then, I'll take my leave. Oh, and about the wedding expenses. 70% of it still hasn't been paid, so it's still outstanding, so make sure to pay it. As I said that, her expression changed dramatically. That's because this wedding was held on a fairly large scale, and the total cost was quite substantial. Including everything, it exceeded $100,000. As my daughter is still in her 20s and her fiancé's parents have already passed away, it was up to me and my husband to pay. My daughter probably thought most of the money came from my husband, as she didn't know how much I earned as a consultant. In reality, I was supposed to cover the entire cost. I thought it was a small price to pay for my daughter, but if she's just going to say I'm playing the mother role, then I don't want to do anything more. What? Pay later, what does that mean? I paid the initial deposit, but the rest of the money is all deferred payment. So, make sure to pay it properly. You're the one who signed the contract, so I'm not involved. No. I never agreed to that. Besides, wasn't Dad supposed to pay for it? My daughter looked visibly flustered, and the composure she had just moments ago had vanished. She probably didn't expect things to turn out like this. Maybe she thought she could harass me because she dislikes me. Even if she harassed me to the point of leaving, my husband would still attend the wedding, and I thought there wouldn't be any problems. But I was dead wrong. The world isn't so forgiving, and things don't always go as planned. And speaking of which, after doing all that, did she really expect to get away with it without any consequences? She's really underestimating life, or rather, the world. But being annoyed by playing the mother role is your problem, isn't it? And you said everything I did for you was just for my own satisfaction. So, if it's just for my own satisfaction, I'm not going to spend lots of money for it.
Wait a minute, it's all lies. I don't seriously think that. It's more like a joke, and I'm truly grateful for everything, including what you've done for the wedding.
I don't need you acting like a daughter now. Can you stop saying ridiculous things? What I said has completely backfired. This is really hopeless. But my husband is siding with me, and I'm not going to do anything for my daughter's sake anymore, even if it means suppressing my own feelings. Well then, enjoy the wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event, so make sure to enjoy it. And if it's about money, there's no problem with borrowing, right? Of course, I'm completely disappointed in you, and I don't intend to celebrate your marriage. Do as you please.
Wait a minute.
She tried to stop us until the very end, but our minds were already made up. We left the venue and returned home. I thought I might regret making such a decision, but surprisingly, I felt relieved, and I thought it would have been better if I had done it from the beginning. However, I felt sorry for involving my husband in this mess. No matter what, she's still our only daughter. I'm sorry things turned out like this on the day of the wedding. No, I've had my own thoughts for a long time. It's okay not to open your heart, but it's different to cause trouble for you, right? I've felt that way too, so that's why I've had enough this time. I see, but what about the money for the wedding? It might be irresponsible, but after being told that, I don't want to pay anymore. I'm not broke, but it's not a small amount either. Don't worry about that. I'll make it clear again. You don't need to pay, and I don't intend to pay either. You should realize that what you've always taken for granted isn't so obvious after all. Since my husband reassured me, there's no problem at all. I need to understand firsthand the harshness of the world and the difficulty of what I've been doing all along. After that, my daughter contacted me several times, but there's nothing to talk about now, so I'm ignoring everything. This is just what she's been doing to me all along. For nearly the past decade, no matter how important the matter, she hardly ever responded when I contacted her. She's just doing the same thing. Hey, has Murgy contacted you about the money? If she did, I've mostly been ignoring it. She's been ignoring me all along, so I've decided not to help anymore. I see. Well, as long as that's the case, but it seems she's gotten involved with some strange money matters. If anything strange happens around you, feel free to consult me anytime. Certainly, since we didn't cover the wedding expenses, it was clear that she would need to borrow millions. However, I thought she would borrow from friends or use cards to pay off such debts. According to what I heard, she seems to have turned to a loan shark, and now the interest alone has accumulated to a considerable amount, making her struggle just to repay it. One day, out of the blue. Hello?
I'm relieved. I thought you wouldn't pick up.
Huh? Why, this isn't your phone, is it? I received a call from an unknown number, and it turned out to be my daughter. Since I had her number blocked, she probably borrowed someone else's phone. But I have nothing more to say to her. Why did you contact me? There's nothing for us to talk about.
Don't say that. Can't you give me a chance to talk? I'm still only 25 years old. I have lots of debt. I was supposed to get married and live a happy life, but my life is a mess.
Oh, I see. So what?
So what? I'm apologizing, so forgive me. I'm human too, so I might make one or two mistakes, right? If you're a parent, don't abandon me until the very end, help me.
It felt like a sigh would escape from me at any moment as I listened to her. Certainly, as a parent, I understand her plea not to abandon her until the end. However, on the flip side, I did something that would lead even a parent to abandon me. First, I need to understand that. However, her apologies seem to stem from her desire to save herself. If she were truly reflecting on her actions and apologizing, she wouldn't mention how dire her situation is. I can't sense any hint of reflection in her words and actions. Of course, I won't be moved by such a performance-like apology. I won't be swayed any further by such superficial apologies. I said only that before hanging up the phone. After that, there were a few more calls, but I blocked every number that came from my daughter. Eventually, the calls stopped coming altogether. However, it seemed that calls had also reached my husband's phone. Did you receive any calls? Well, yeah. She seriously asked me for money because she is short on cash. Also, she said she wanted to apologize, but I told her I wouldn't accept it, even if she apologized now. But she didn't come here? If things really got bad, wouldn't that be her only option? Well, about that. I'm thinking about moving. Huh? Moving? If it's just the two of us, we don't need this big house. I want to cut ties with all the troublesome things. You're the only one I trust. Certainly, a small apartment would suffice for our retirement life, and as my husband suggested, we moved out a month later. 6 months later, the house was sold, and with that money, we were able to live comfortably. Another 6 months passed, and life in our new home had settled down considerably. There were hardly any problems living with just my husband, and every day was enjoyable. By the way, I got some spa tickets from a former colleague. They're valid until next month, so let's go together.
That sounds nice.
And next month happens to be our anniversary.
You remembered. Thank you.
After the incident at the wedding, I worried that my husband might be putting up a front. Certainly, what she did was outrageous, and it's really comforting that my husband is on my side. But at the same time, somewhere in my heart, I don't want to cut ties with my daughter. I thought that's what I was feeling. I don't understand that feeling well because I don't have my own children, but maybe, such feelings have been there all along. Maybe my husband is concerned about our daughter deep down and worried. That's what being a parent is all about. However, my husband doesn't usually mention her. He seems happy every day. So lately, I haven't been thinking about it, and I've been enjoying life with my husband. I had enough money saved from my consulting work, so I won't have trouble in retirement. My husband is nearing retirement age, and we plan to enjoy our life as a couple. My life hasn't been conventional. I've had a different life, walking a path that's not the typical one of falling in love, getting married, having children, and living as a family. Because of that, there have been many unpleasant things, and I've faced hardships and stress. Life isn't easy, and we always hit a wall somewhere. When we hit those walls, whether someone is there to help us or not determines their life. I have my husband. He's been there for me, offering a helping hand no matter what, and that's how I've overcome any problems. There are people out there who are willing to abandon even their loved ones. But I want to cherish those who will continue to be by my side. I want to express my gratitude to my husband and hope to be a happy couple for a long time.